What if the path to becoming powerful, truly powerful, requires you to destroy everything you think you know about success? What if it demands that you walk completely, utterly alone? We are told to connect, to network, to build a following. We are sold this idea every single day that strength is found in numbers, in the size of our circle, in the roar of the crowd. But what if that's a lie? A comfortable, dangerous lie designed to keep you ordinary. What if the greatest minds in history discovered a secret? A code that says true power is forged not in the herd, but in the wilderness of absolute solitude. This is the brutal, shared code of a mad German philosopher and an undefeated Japanese swordsman. Two men who never met, separated by centuries and cultures, yet who both arrived at the same terrifying conclusion about power. This is their path to becoming invincible. On one side, we have Friedrich Nietzsche, a man whose mind was a battlefield, who declared God dead and waged war on morality itself with nothing but a pen. His thoughts were a razor, cutting through the comfortable, self-serving lies society tells itself to feel safe. He was an outcast, plagued by illness and profound misunderstanding, a true lone wolf. He wasn't just a thinker, he was a trainer for the human spirit. He was creating a blueprint, a terrifying and beautiful design for a new kind of human, the Übermensch or Overman. This is not a Superman with a cape, but someone so mentally strong, so self-defined that they forge their own values, their own purpose, completely from scratch. On the other side of history, Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Kensei, or sword saint of Japan, a name still whispered with awe, a man who walked into over 60 duels to the death and never once tasted defeat. He was not just a fighter, he was a force of nature, a whirlwind of steel, strategy, and pure, focused intent. But Musashi was more than just a killer. He was a Ronin, a masterless samurai. He wandered the land alone, a shadow with two swords, sleeping under the stars, perfecting his craft not in a fancy dojo with bowing students, but in the brutal crucible of real-world combat and deep, unwavering personal reflection. A philosopher and a warrior, one fought with ideas, the other with steel. How could their paths possibly be the same? The answer lies in the first, most difficult principle of their code, the embrace of radical solitude. Solitude for these men wasn't about being lonely. It was about being free. Free from the influence, the expectations, and the mediocrity of the herd. For them, solitude was a weapon. Nietzsche knew the cost of this path intimately. He wrote that when you walk away, the voice of the herd will still echo within you. And that moment when you finally say, I no longer share a conscience with you, it will be a lament and an agony. It is painful to unplug from the group consensus, to be the one who thinks differently. But for Nietzsche, this specific pain was a sign of growth. It was the sound of your own, true voice finally breaking through all the noise. Musashi did not just write about this. He lived this philosophy to its absolute extreme. By becoming a Ronin, he cut all ties with the rigid structures of the samurai clans. He had no master to please, no peers to impress. His only judge was his opponent's blade, and the man he saw in his own reflection. This profound isolation gave him the mental space to innovate. He developed his famous two-sword style, Nieten Ike Ryu, something that broke all the traditional rules. He could only achieve this because there was no one there to tell him he couldn't. Think about our world now. We are terrified of being alone, aren't we? We fill every spare moment with podcasts, social media, and endless content. We crave the validation of the like, the comment, the share. It's a modern addiction. We desperately seek connection, but this constant feed of noise is drowning out our own thoughts, our own inner voice. We think we're building a vast network, but then we wake up one day and realize we've actually built a prison made of other people's opinions, a cage that keeps us from our true, terrifying potential. Nietzsche and Musashi understood this deeply. Solitude is the silent dojo. It is the stark, empty wilderness where you are forced to confront yourself without any distractions. Your weaknesses, your strengths, your purpose. It is where the real work, the real battle, finally begins. But solitude alone isn't enough. An empty room doesn't make you a genius. A lonely road doesn't make you a master. Solitude is the canvas. Discipline is the brush that paints the masterpiece. For Musashi, discipline was the very rhythm of his existence. It was the thousands of cuts in the air, the constant study of his opponents, the refinement of his strategy. It was a total, all-consuming commitment to his way. In his final years, he retreated to a cave and wrote the Decado, the path of walking alone, a stark list of 21 rules for a life of ascetic discipline. These are not gentle suggestions. They are commands like, accept everything just the way it is, and do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling. This wasn't about self-punishment. Not at all. It was about forging an unbreakable will. A mind so focused, so clear, that it could perceive an opponent's intent before they even moved. His discipline made him a master of both his sword and his mind. Nietzsche's discipline was just as ruthless, but it was aimed inward. He demanded absolute intellectual honesty, the discipline to question every single belief you hold dear, the courage to look into the abyss of your own soul and not flinch. He called his ultimate form of discipline amor fati, a Latin phrase meaning the love of one's fate. This is the radical practice of not just accepting your struggles, but actively loving them, seeing every setback, every heartbreak, every moment of pain as a necessary and beautiful part of your unique journey to power. Can you truly do that? Can you look at your greatest failure, the one that keeps you up at night, and say with honesty, "Thank you. I needed that to become who I am"? Can you embrace the very pain of growth as a lover? This is the supreme, almost impossible discipline of the philosopher warrior. We are programmed by society and by our own biology to seek comfort and avoid pain at all costs. But a sword is not forged in a comfortable fire. A diamond is not formed without immense pressure. The very struggles we run from are the only things that can make us strong. So how do we apply this ancient code to our chaotic modern world? First, you must cut the noise. This is your modern-day solitude. It's not about moving to a cave. It's about being ruthless with your attention. Audit your inputs like a ruthless accountant. Where is your attention going? Unfollow the accounts that fill you with envy or make you feel weak. Mute the endless chatter that only brings you anger. You must schedule time every single day to just be alone with your thoughts. No phone, no music, no podcasts, just you and the silence. This is where you find your signal. Second, you must seek resistance. Reframe every single challenge. That brutal workout you're avoiding, that's your duel. That difficult project at work, that's your sparring partner. Stop running from things that are hard. Musashi sought out the most dangerous opponents to test his skills. Nietzsche confronted the most terrifying ideas. You must do the same. Deliberately seek out resistance because the muscle only grows when it is torn. Third, become fiercely self-reliant. Stop seeking external validation as if it were oxygen. This is the absolute core of their shared path. Your worth is not determined by likes, by promotions, or by the praise of others. It is an internal state, determined solely by your adherence to your own code. Musashi knew he was the greatest because he never lost. He didn't need a committee to award him a trophy. Nietzsche was scorned and ignored in his time, but he never doubted the power of his ideas. Your opinion of yourself must become the only one that truly matters. Finally, and most importantly, understand that the ultimate battlefield is always your own mind. Musashi wrote about the need to train so that your spirit is not swayed by anything. He believed that even if your body is small, you must cultivate a spirit that is vast and unshakable. The fight is always internal. Nietzsche's entire philosophy is a manual for psychological warfare against your own weakness. It's about mastering your impulses, your fears, and your comfortable lies. Your mind can be your greatest prison or your sharpest weapon. The choice is always yours. Following this code doesn't promise you riches or fame. In fact, it might cost you both. It promises something far more valuable: invincibility. Not the invincibility of a superhero who can't be hurt. That's a child's fantasy. This is the invincibility of the mountain. The storms will come, the winds will howl, the world will try to break you, but you will remain unshakable, rooted in your own principles, centered in your own power. A person who lives this code is not swayed by fleeting trends. They are not crushed by criticism. They are not addicted to praise. They generate their own purpose, their own heat, their own light in a world of shadows. They are a force of nature, just like Nietzsche and Musashi. They have blended the sharp, analytical mind of the philosopher with the indomitable, disciplined will of the warrior. They have become truly and absolutely free. The path is there. It has been walked before. It is a path of solitude and immense discipline. It will demand everything from you. It will break you down and rebuild you into something stronger than you can possibly imagine. Most people will hear this and turn away. They will seek the comfort of the crowd, the warmth of easy answers. But for the few who are still listening, the path is waiting. And it begins with a simple, terrifying question. What if the path to becoming powerful, truly powerful, requires you to destroy everything you think you know about success?